I, 20 farads, need advice on a family situation that's tearing me apart. My graduation ceremony is coming up next month, and my parents just dropped a bombshell. They're planning a trip to Europe that coincides exactly with my graduation day. They say it's to celebrate my sister's, 26 farads, recent job promotion. When I reminded them about my graduation, my mom's response felt like a slap in the face. Your art degree won't lead to any real job anyway. Your sister's success is more important. This attitude isn't new, but it still hurts every time. When I decided to pursue a degree in fine arts, my parents were dead set against it. You'll never find a stable job, they said. You don't have enough talent, they repeated over and over. Meanwhile, my sister, who graduated from business school and landed a job at a Fortune 500 company, can do no wrong in their eyes. I've always been passionate about art. Since I was a kid, I'd spend hours sketching, painting, and creating. It wasn't just a hobby. It was how I expressed myself, how I made sense of the world. When I got accepted into the fine arts program at my university, I was over the moon. I thought my parents would finally see that my passion could lead somewhere. Instead, they looked disappointed, as if I'd let them down somehow. Throughout my college years, I've worked hard to prove them wrong. I've maintained a high GPA, participated in student art exhibitions, and even sold a few pieces. But no matter what I achieve, it's never enough for them. They always compare me to my sister, asking why I can't be more like her. My relationship with my sister is another story altogether. Growing up, she always made me feel inferior. You're not smart enough, so at least try to look pretty, she'd say. When I'd complain to my parents about her behavior, they'd brush it off. Your sister is just trying to help you, they'd say, or don't be so sensitive. It felt like I was always the problem, never her. This graduation ceremony means everything to me. It's not just about getting a diploma, it's about proving to myself and everyone else that I can succeed in doing what I love. The thought of my parents missing it for a trip to celebrate my sister's success is crushing. It feels like they're choosing her over me, yet again. I tried talking to them about it last night. I explained how important this day is for me, how much it would mean to have them there. My dad just sighed and said, "We're thinking about your future. Your sister's connections could help you find a real job after you graduate." My mom added, "You should be happy for your sister's success. Don't be selfish." Selfish? Is it selfish to want my parents at my graduation? Am I wrong for feeling hurt and angry about this? My boyfriend has been incredibly supportive throughout all of this. He's the one who encouraged me to post here and seek advice. He thinks I should stand my ground and tell my parents how I really feel, but I'm scared. Every time I've tried to express my feelings in the past, it's backfired. They either dismiss my concerns or turn it around to make me feel guilty. I'm also worried about the long-term consequences of this situation. If I push too hard, will it damage my relationship with my parents beyond repair? But if I don't say anything, will I regret it for the rest of my life? The more I think about it, the more I realize this isn't just about the graduation ceremony. It's about years of feeling less than, of having my passions dismissed, of being compared unfavorably to my sister. It's about wanting my parents to see me for who I am, not who they want me to be. I've tried so hard to make them proud. I've pushed myself to excel in my studies, to create art that speaks to people, to carve out a path for myself in a challenging field. But it feels like nothing I do will ever be good enough for them. There's a part of me that wants to just give up, to tell them not to bother coming to the graduation. But another part of me is holding on to hope that maybe, just maybe, if I find the right words, they'll understand how much this means to me. I'm torn between standing up for myself and keeping the peace. I don't want to be the cause of family drama, but but I also don't want to keep swallowing my feelings and pretending everything is okay when it's not. My boyfriend suggests that I write them a letter, explaining my feelings calmly and clearly. He thinks it might be easier for me to express myself in writing without the pressure of an immediate response. But I'm worried they'll just dismiss it as me being overdramatic or attention-seeking. I've also thought about reaching out to my sister to see if she might be willing to intervene on my behalf. But our relationship is so strained, I'm not sure if that would help or just make things worse. Plus, I'm afraid she might see it as me trying to steal her spotlight. The graduation is still a month away, but it feels like this decision is hanging over every interaction I have with my family. Every phone call, every text message feels loaded with unspoken tension. I'm struggling to focus on my final projects and exams because this situation is consuming so much of my mental energy. I know I should be excited about graduating, about the future that lies ahead. Instead, I'm filled with dread and anxiety. Will I look out into the audience on graduation day and see empty seats where my parents should be? Will I have to pretend to be happy while knowing they're off celebrating my sister's success instead? I've worked so hard to get to this point. Late nights in the studio, countless revisions of my portfolio, pushing through self-doubt and criticism. I've poured my heart and soul into my art, into becoming the best version of myself. All I want is for my parents to see that, to acknowledge my hard work and passion. Is it too much to ask for them to be there on one of the most important days of my life? Am I being unreasonable for feeling hurt and angry about this? How do I make them understand without causing a family meltdown? I feel like I'm at a crossroads. The decision I make now could shape my relationship with my family for years to come. Do I speak up and risk conflict, or do I stay silent and risk resentment? I'm hoping that someone here might have been in a similar situation or might have some insight to offer. How do I navigate this without losing myself or my family in the process? Any advice would be greatly appreciated. As I sit here in my studio, surrounded by half-finished canvases and the smell of paint, I can't help but reflect on my artistic journey. My current project, the one that's causing me so much stress and excitement, is a piece I've titled Fractured Reflections. It's a large-scale installation that combines painted elements with mirrors and digital projections. The concept behind it is to explore how our identities are shaped by the perceptions of those around us, especially our families. Viewers will see their own reflections fragmented and distorted, interspersed with painted scenes of family life. It's deeply personal, drawing from my own experiences, but I hope it will resonate with others who have struggled to define themselves beyond their family's expectations. I've been working on this piece for months, often staying in the studio until the early hours of the morning. There's something calming about losing myself in the creative process, mixing colors, experimenting with textures, and problem-solving the technical aspects of the installation. When I'm fully immersed in my work, all the family drama fades away, and I feel truly myself. My art professors have been incredibly supportive of this project. Professor Johnson, in particular, has gone above and beyond to help me refine my concept and technique. She even put me in touch with a local gallery owner who's interested in featuring emerging artists. It's opportunities like these that make me believe I can actually make a career out of my passion, despite my parents' doubts. Thinking about my professors and mentors at university makes me realize how much I've grown, not just as an artist, but as a person. I found a community here that understands and values me in a way my family never has. My classmates, many of whom come from artistic backgrounds, have become like a second family to me. These friendships have shown me what genuine support looks like. When I told them about my parents potentially missing my graduation, they were outraged on my behalf. Sarah even offered to have her parents adopt me for the day, so I'd have someone cheering for me in the audience. It was a sweet gesture that brought tears to my eyes. The contrast between my university life and my family life couldn't be starker. Here, I'm valued for my creativity, my unique perspective, my willingness to take artistic risks. At home, these same qualities are seen as liabilities, signs that I'm not practical enough. As graduation approaches, I find myself increasingly anxious about the future. I have plans, dreams, and goals, but I'm also acutely aware of the challenges ahead. I've been researching artist residencies and have my eye on a few programs that could provide me with studio space and networking opportunities right out of college. I'm also considering applying for a position as an art teacher at a local community center. It would provide some financial stability while allowing me to continue developing my own artistic practice. Plus, the idea of inspiring young artists and helping them believe in themselves appeals to me, especially given my own experiences with lack of family support. Another option I'm exploring is freelance illustration work. I've already done a few small projects for local businesses, designing logos and creating custom artwork for their offices. It's not the high-concept art I dream of making long-term, but it's a way to make money from my skills while I establish myself in the art world. All of these plans excite me, but they also terrify me. What if my parents are right? What if I can't make a living as an artist? What if I'm not good enough, not talented enough, not practical enough to succeed in this competitive field? These doubts creep in late at night, when I'm alone with my thoughts and the weight of my family's expectations. But then I look at my work, at the pieces I've created over the past 4 years, and I feel a sense of pride and purpose. I think about the hours I've poured into honing my skills, the feedback I've received from professors and peers, the small successes I've already achieved. And I remind myself that this is more than just a hobby or a phase. It's who I am at my core. I wish I could make my parents understand this. I wish they could see the dedication and hard work behind each piece, the thought and emotion that goes into every brushstroke. I wish they could feel the joy and fulfillment I experience when I'm creating, or the excitement I feel when someone connects with my art. As the day of graduation draws nearer, I find myself at a crossroads. Part of me wants to make one last, desperate attempt to convince my parents to attend, to lay bare all my feelings, my hurt, my need for their support. But another part of me wonders if it's time to accept that they may never fully understand or support my choices. Perhaps the most adult thing I can do is to move forward with my plans, with or without their approval, to create the life and career I want for myself, surrounding myself with people who do understand and support my passion. It's a daunting prospect, but also an exhilarating one. Whatever happens with my graduation, whether my parents attend or not, I know that this is just the beginning of my journey as an artist. I have so much more to learn, to create, to express, and while I'll always hope for my family's understanding and support, I'm beginning to realize that I can't let their approval, or lack thereof, define my path. As I prepare to step into the next chapter of my life, I'm filled with a mix of emotions, excitement, fear, determination, and hope. But above all, I feel a sense of authenticity, because no matter what challenges lie ahead, I know I'm being true to myself and my passion. And in the end, isn't that what really matters? I guess what I'm really asking for is advice on how to move forward. How do I balance my love for my family with my need to be true to myself? How do I stand up for my passion without burning bridges? And most importantly, how do I find the strength to walk across that stage on graduation day, head held high, regardless of who is or isn't in the audience? Thank you all for listening to my story. Any advice, words of encouragement, or similar experiences you can share would mean the world to me right now. Update 1. It's been 3 days since my last post, and I wanted to update you all on what's happened. Thank you to everyone who offered advice. Your support gave me the courage to try talking to my parents again. Yesterday evening, I called them. My heart was pounding as I began. Mom, Dad, I need to talk to you about my graduation. I don't think you understand how much this means to me. I explained how hard I've worked, not just in art classes, but in all my studies. I told them about my GPA, the praise from my professors, and the gallery owner interested in my work. I emphasized that this ceremony isn't just about getting a diploma, but about celebrating my accomplishments and the person I've become. There was a long pause after I finished speaking. For a moment, I hoped I had gotten through to them. But then my dad spoke. "We understand that you've worked hard," he said, his voice frustratingly calm. "But you have to understand our position too. This trip is important for your sister's career. The connections she'll make could set her up for life." My mom added, "We're not trying to hurt you, honey. We just want what's best for both our daughters. Your sister's opportunity is time-sensitive, but you'll have other chances to show us your art." I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. They still didn't get it. Or worse, they did get it, and still didn't care. "This isn't about showing you my art," I said, my voice shaking. "It's about you being there for one of the most important moments of my life. Can't you see that?" "Don't be so dramatic," my dad sighed. "It's just a ceremony. The important thing is that you're getting your degree." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Just a ceremony? Did they really think so little of my accomplishments? "What if we have a special family dinner when we get back?" my mom suggested, as if that could possibly make up for their absence. I was at a loss for words. How could I make them understand if they weren't even willing to try? The frustration and hurt I'd been holding back came bubbling to the surface. "You know what? Don't bother," I said, surprising even myself with the coldness in my voice. "Enjoy your trip. I'll figure something out." I hung up before they could respond, my hands shaking. For a few minutes, I just sat there, trying to process what had just happened. Then the tears came, and I couldn't stop them. My boyfriend found me curled up on the couch, crying. He held me while I told him about the conversation. "I'm so sorry," he said when I finished. "You deserve so much better than this." As I calmed down, a sort of numbness settled over me. I realized that I had been holding on to hope that if I just found the right words, they would change their minds. But now that hope was gone. In its place, a new resolve began to form. I turned to my boyfriend and said, "I'm going to that graduation ceremony, whether they're there or not." He squeezed my hand. "Of course you are, and I'll be right there with you." We spent the rest of the evening making plans. My boyfriend's parents immediately agreed to come when we called them. A few of my closest friends from the art department also promised to be there to cheer me on. It's not the same as having my own parents there, but it's something. More than that, it's a reminder that I have people in my life who value me and my accomplishments, even if my family doesn't. I haven't told my parents about my decision yet. Part of me wants to let them know that I'm going ahead with the ceremony without them, to make them feel guilty for missing it. But another part of me thinks it's better to just let it go. They've made their choice, and now I'm making mine. As for my sister, I'm still unsure about how to handle that relationship. I'm angry at her for planning this trip, knowing it conflicted with my graduation, but I'm trying to remind myself that the real issue is with my parents and their choices. Looking ahead, I'm focusing on finishing my final projects and preparing for the ceremony. It's bittersweet. I'm proud of what I've accomplished, but there's a shadow over what should be a purely joyous occasion. I'm also starting to think about what this means for my relationship with my parents going forward. I love them, but I can't keep putting myself through this emotional wringer. I think it's time to start setting some boundaries for my own mental health, if nothing else. To everyone who advised me to stand up for myself, thank you. Even though the conversation didn't go as I hoped, I'm glad I tried. At least now, I know where I stand, and I can move forward without any what-ifs holding me back. I'll update again after the graduation ceremony, regardless of who's in the audience. I'm going to walk across that stage with my head held high, because I've earned this moment, and I'm not going to let anyone take that away from me. Thank you all again for your support. It means more than you know. Update 2. It's been a week since my last update, and the graduation ceremony is now just days away. Yesterday, I received an unexpected call from my mom. "Sweetie," she began, "your father and I have been talking, and we realize our last conversation didn't go well. We'd like to try again," she continued. "When we get back from our trip, we'd like to have dinner together, all of us, including your sister. We think it's time we had a real family discussion." I was stunned. Part of me wanted to believe they were finally ready to listen, but another part was skeptical. "That's unexpected," I said. "But Mom, the graduation is in 3 days. Are you still going on the trip?" "Yes, we are," she replied. "The plans are already made, and it's important for your sister's career. But we want to make things right when we return." I felt disappointment and frustration rising. "I appreciate the gesture, Mom, but I don't know if a dinner after the fact can make up for missing my graduation. Do you understand how important this day is to me?" "Of course we do, honey," she said defensively. "But sometimes in life, we have to make difficult choices. Your sister's opportunity is more important than my graduation." "I get it," I cut in. "I'll think about the dinner. I have to go now." After hanging up, I called my boyfriend to talk it through. He said, "It sounds like they're trying, but they still don't fully understand how much they're hurting you." "Should I agree to the dinner?" I asked. "Only you can decide," he replied. "But agreeing doesn't mean you have to forgive everything. It could be an opportunity to have the conversation you've been wanting to have for years." After much thought, I decided to agree to the dinner, but on my terms. I called my mom back. "I'm willing to have dinner when you get back, but I have conditions," I said. "I want to be heard, really heard. No interruptions, no dismissing my feelings, no comparisons to my sister. Can you agree to that?" "Yes, we can do that," my mom replied. "We want to listen, honey." "We really do." "Okay," I said. "But Mom, this doesn't change the fact that you're missing my graduation. That still hurts, and it's going to take more than one conversation to fix things between us." "I understand," she said, sounding sad. "We'll do whatever it takes to make things right." After hanging up, I felt a mix of emotions: hope, anxiety, determination. I don't know if this dinner will change anything, but at least it's a step. In the meantime, I'm focusing on the graduation. My boyfriend, his parents, and some friends will be there. It won't be the celebration I had imagined, but it will still be special. I've also made a decision about my final art project. Instead of playing it safe, I'm creating a piece that expresses everything I've been feeling: the hurt, the frustration, but also the hope and strength I found in myself and my chosen family. As the graduation approaches, I'm nervous but excited. Whatever happens with my family, I know I've achieved something significant. I've stayed true to my passion, worked hard, and created meaningful art. That's worth celebrating, with or without my parents' approval. I'll update again after the graduation and family dinner. Wish me luck. I'm going to need it. Update 3. I can't believe everything that's happened since my last update. The graduation ceremony has come and gone, and the family dinner. Well, let's just say it didn't go as planned. First, the graduation. As I walked across that stage, diploma in hand, I scanned the audience. My boyfriend, his parents, and my friends were there, cheering loudly. The empty seats where my family should have been felt like a physical ache, but I held my head high. I'd worked hard for this moment, and I wasn't going to let their absence diminish my achievement. After the ceremony, my boyfriend's parents took us all out for a celebratory dinner. It was bittersweet. I was surrounded by love and support, but the absence of my own family was painfully obvious. Still, I tried to focus on the positive. These people had chosen to be here for me, and that meant something. Then came the family dinner. A week after my graduation, I arrived at my parents' house with a mix of hope and apprehension. My sister was already there, looking uncomfortable. My parents greeted me with forced smiles and awkward hugs. As we sat down to eat, there was a tension in the air that you could cut with a knife. We made small talk for a while, carefully avoiding any mention of the graduation or the Europe trip. Finally, my dad cleared his throat. "So," he said, "I think we need to talk about what happened." I took a deep breath. "Yes, we do," I replied. "I want you to understand how hurt I was that you chose to miss my graduation." My mom jumped in. "Honey, we've already explained that your sister's opportunity was time-sensitive." "We couldn't." "Mom," I interrupted. "You promised to listen without interrupting, remember?" She fell silent, looking chastened. I continued, pouring out everything I'd been feeling. The years of feeling less valued than my sister, the constant dismissal of my passion for art, the pain of them missing one of the most important days of my life. When I finished, there was a long silence. Then, to my surprise, my sister spoke up. "I need to say something," she said, her voice shaky. "The Europe trip. It wasn't as time-sensitive as I made it out to be. I knew about your graduation date when I planned it." The room erupted into chaos. My parents looked shocked. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut, and my sister burst into tears. "Why?" I managed to ask. "Why would you do that?" Through her tears, my sister explained. She'd always been jealous of my artistic talent, of the way I seemed to have a passion that drove me. She'd pushed herself in her career, partly to prove that she was just as special. When she heard about my graduation, some ugly part of her wanted to prove that she was still the favorite, that our parents would choose her over me. "I'm so sorry," she sobbed. "I never thought they'd actually miss your graduation. I thought they'd choose you." I didn't know how to respond. I was angry, hurt, but also oddly relieved to finally understand the dynamics that had been at play all these years. My parents sat in stunned silence. Then my dad spoke, his voice heavy with regret. "We've really messed up, haven't we? We thought we were doing the right thing, supporting your sister's career. We didn't realize. We didn't see how much we were hurting you. We were wrong," my mom added, tears in her eyes. "We should have been there for your graduation. We should have supported your art from the beginning. Can you forgive us?" I looked at my family, my sister's tear-stained face, my parents' pleading eyes. I felt a surge of emotions, anger at the years of hurt, relief at finally being heard, uncertainty about the future. "I don't know," I said honestly. "I love you all, but this isn't something I can just get over. You've hurt me deeply, for years. It's going to take time for me to process all of this." I stood up, feeling suddenly drained. "I need some space," I said. "I'll be in touch when I'm ready to talk more." As I left the houses, I felt a strange mix of sadness and liberation. The truth was finally out, but it had come at a high cost. I didn't know what the future held for my relationship with my family, but I knew one thing for certain. I was done compromising myself or my passions for anyone else's approval. I drove straight to my boyfriend's place and fell into his arms, finally letting out all the emotions I'd been holding back. As I cried, I felt a sense of release. Whatever happened next, I knew I had the strength to face it. To everyone who's followed my story and offered support, thank you. Your words have meant more than you know. I don't know what the future holds, but I'm committed to staying true to myself and my art. That's the one thing I can control in all of this mess. I'll update if anything significant changes, but for now, I'm focusing on healing and moving forward. Wish me luck as I navigate this new chapter of my life.